Why did Jimin suddenly move away from Jungkook after the shocking backstage incident? Is this a sign of the breakdown of their friendship? ARMY began to speculate wildly. Click, read, and give your opinion in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more hot updates. Me. I can't see his eyes anymore after what he did that night. Jimin's voice was captured quietly in a leaked backstage video snippet a few days ago, and since then, one question has rocked the entire fandom. What really happened between Jimin and Jungkook? Is this just an ordinary misunderstanding? Or is it precisely the beginning of the cracking of the foundations of BTS's most iconic relationship? Overnight, the atmosphere that was previously full of love and laughter turned into a tension that could be felt even by the rearmost seated audience at their last concert. But, why didn't Jimin say hello to Jungkook anymore? Why was he seen holding back tears in the dressing room after the mysterious incident? The stage lights were not yet completely off as Jimin stood frozen behind a black curtain, his body looking stiff while the entire stadium still rumbled singing "Yet to Come." But what the audience didn't know that night was the smile he threw at the end of the song wasn't a winning smile. It was a smile of pain. Jungkook had just passed it, with hasty steps. No pat on the shoulder as usual. There was no small laugh or teasing in Jimin's ears as was always the case. Just silence. The silence that slapped was louder than the sound of thousands of fans calling their names. And after that, he disappeared. Jimin is gone. Not to the lounge. Not to the locker room together. Not even to the van they used to ride in together. You don't want a car with me? Jungkook's voice is heard from the video footage recorded by the crew. His tone was more confused than angry, more hurt than disappointed. That night, the world of fandom changed. The ARMY began flooding social media with speculation. Was there a big fight? Did they have a disagreement about the concert? Or is it related to the long-buried rumors about Jungkook's past that only certain members know about? Within hours, the hashtags hashtag where's Jimin and hashtag protect Jungkook were trending globally. But there is not a single official statement. Not from Bigot. Not from HYB. And even more confusing, not from Jimin himself. Is this about a comment Jungkook made during a live broadcast a few days earlier? A comment that, to some, sounds like an ordinary joke, but to others, harbors deep wounds. Jungkook sat alone in the dimly lit waiting room, accompanied only by the sound of the air conditioner buzzing softly and the reflection of light from the studio's glass overlooking the Seoul night sky. He had already taken off his stage costume. The baggy black shirt hung halfway down his shoulder, revealing the tattoo he usually covers when performing. His hand was still holding the earpiece that had been turned off, but his expression was blank. As if everything stopped out a few minutes earlier, he was still in the middle of the stage with the other 6 members, receiving an overwhelming standing ovation from ARMY. But when the last spotlight went off, everything changed. Jimin didn't look up. Jimin didn't even pat her on the back as usual. Even when Jungkook had nudged his arm slowly while whispering, "How about? Safe, right?" All he gets is a brief, full view. Tension. Not angry. Not disgust. But like someone who kept something for too long until this very second. And since that night, Jimin disappeared from all personal schedules involving Jungkook. Even more suspicious. A fancam video from fans sitting on the right side of the stage showed Jimin dodging as Jungkook approached him after the 7th song was finished. When Jungkook reached out for a high five, Jimin was busy tidying up the microphone and quickly switching positions. Was it just a coincidence? Or part of the choreography? But if it was really just a stage routine, why did the staff look at each other with strange expressions behind the scenes at that time? What made things even wilder was an anonymous comment from one of the stylist's former crew that appeared on a closed forum. In a screenshot shared by an anonymous account, he wrote, "Actually, the backstage incident that night was buried for a long time. Jimin once told the manager directly that he was uncomfortable with the way Jungkook behaved after the incident. But the company asked for all the DM. Some are sacrificed. Someone was told to shut up." This question made everyone start digging deeper, and rumors began to appear rapidly. Some say that during rehearsals, Jungkook once accidentally opened up about a supposedly private conversation about Jimin's past with one of his former female staffers. Jungkook may not have meant any harm, but his line, which he said was spoken in front of several backup dancers, made Jimin feel betrayed. If you can't move on from the events of that time, why don't you just talk to the management? Why cover it all alone? The phrase, according to another source who had participated in the training that day, was said by Jungkook in a frustrated tone when Jimin arrived late because he looked gloomy. And even more surprising, it turned out that the moment was recorded on an internal CCTV camera located in the HYB rehearsal studio. No audio, just visuals. But Jungkook's gesture of raising his hand towards Jimin, while Jimin turned his face while rubbing his eyes, was enough to make many people speculate wildly. But what really shook the fans was that after the incident, all public activities involving the two seemed to be subtly separated. Jungkook appeared solo in an interview promoting the album, though it was originally planned to be with Jimin. Even when BTS attended a formal dinner event with their main sponsor in Japan, only Jimin was seen in the photo with Namjoon and Taehyung. Jungkook said he was in a period of personal rest. One comment from a senior South Korean entertainment journalist sparked even wilder speculation. In the broadcast of his famous podcast Sharp, he stated, "There is pressure from within to reduce tensions between members. HYB was already too big to be dragged into internal drama. But if there's one thing that can shake them, it's Jimin and Jungkook's fractured relationship." More provocatively, in a separate interview recently re-aired by a fan, Jimin once said, "Some of the wounds from the past are not from outsiders, but from the people we think are closest to us." At that time, no one suspected anything. But now, that sentence was like a time bomb that exploded too late. And the question now is, can this relationship still be saved? Or are we really witnessing the end of the most iconic closeness in BTS history? Army divided. Some defended Jungkook, thinking he was just going through post-draft mental stress and trying to stay strong amid the brutal spotlight. But others felt that Jimin had given in too often, and that his decision to keep his distance was a legitimate form of self-protection. Not yet. There is no official statement. There is no clarification from either. Just shut up. And in a world where silence can be louder than shouting, the army can now only wait and wonder, were the events of that night just the tip of the iceberg of a deeper conflict? Or is there something more shocking, more personal, and more painful that we have never known? Whatever the answer, one thing is certain: since that night, something has changed. And maybe it will never be the same again. A few days after the incident, the army began to realize something deeper than just physical distance. Not only did Jimin shy away from Jungkook, but Jungkook also seemed to no longer have the same passion in every group agenda. It remains present, it remains to appear, but its aura, like it no longer lights up. The smile is empty. It's like looking for someone who no longer wants to look back. And the weirdness doesn't stop at the stage. In an interview with a Japanese television station, what should have been a fun moment turned awkward when one of the hosts mentioned how strong Jungkook's friendship ties are in the eyes of global fans. Jungkook only gave a small nod, while Jimin glanced down and replied in a cold tone, "That relationship, like any other, always evolving." That sentence sounds neutral, but for those who have followed BTS for years, it's a signal. A signal that something is broken. Something that probably can't be fixed anymore. Meanwhile, rumors swirled when a former security crew member who had worked for HYB for more than 4 years wrote on his personal social media account, which has now been deleted, that there was a major incident between the two during a closed-door training session on the 5th floor of HYB headquarters. He wrote that he heard doors slamming, the sound of someone crying, and Jungkook saying something that shocked everyone. And his words quoted thousands of ARMY accounts on Twitter, "I'm not going to keep the M." That night, Jungkook shouted, "If everyone knew the truth, they wouldn't side with you, Jim. They'll know who you really are." And after that, silence. This statement immediately invited a storm. Many questioned the authenticity of the source. But like any open wound, the public doesn't need the full truth to start believing. They only need small cracks. Less disturbing was the appearance of a video clip allegedly from an internal training camera, showing Jimin exiting the training studio while covering his face with a hoodie, followed by Jungkook trying to catch up with him, calling his name several times, but being ignored. At the end of the video, Jimin is seen hitting the wall with his right hand, then sitting down in silence. Jungkook stood a few steps behind, visibly shaking, but did not move closer. The scene was like the climax of a story that never aired. But what made the atmosphere truly unbearable was the appearance of a leaked email from a senior HYB staffer to the internal PR team. In a screenshot widely circulated in the Korean and international K-pop community, the staff member wrote, "We cannot allow this internal conflict to explode in the media. Our focus now is to maintain the brand. If necessary, separate their media activities and prioritize individual exposures with positive narratives. Don't let the public know that two of our greatest icons haven't spoken for over a week." That email, although unverified, was enough to set fire to cyberspace. Some say that this conflict is actually much deeper than just a misunderstanding. There were fans who claimed that during the live broadcast 2 months earlier, Jungkook had unknowingly read his phone messages in front of the camera, and that the on-screen name, which was read, half implied someone from Jimin's past who had become a big issue in internal circles. The message read, "You promised never to bring my name in front of people again. You promised." Shortly after that broadcast, Jimin closed all comments on his Weverse account. Many soldiers feel that this is no longer a question of professionalism. It's personal. This is an inner conflict that has been accumulating for a long time, wrapped up by cameras, a stage, and a forced smile. Some ARMY seniors have even begun to compare this to the tragedy of other K-pop group splits in the past. But there is one big difference. This is BTS. This is a group that for many years has been known for its unshakable bonds. If even they could falter, what would that mean for everything they had promised all along? And most controversially, news broke that Taehyung had finally spoken privately to management, asking that the group's promotion schedule be postponed until a proper settlement is reached. He reportedly said, "If you force us to smile, then you are killing us slowly." A sentence that, according to one insider, immediately provoked tension between the agency and the members. Now, the ARMY no longer loves only their idols. They are caught between two figures who have shaped their identity as fans. Jungkook looks devastated but can't speak. Jimin chose to stay away because, perhaps, there were too many unexplained injuries, and the world can only wait. Is this a sign of the end of Jungkook as we know it? Will anyone reveal the real truth, or will all remain a secret that can only be read through their gazes and silences on stage? One thing is for sure, since the events of that night, BTS's world has never felt whole again. And if no one dares to voice this wound, maybe BTS will begin to crack from the inside, starting from two people who once healed each other and now hurt each other in silence. Jungkook never thought that a single sentence in the midst of his training fatigue could break something he thought would never be broken, his inner bond with Jimin. But in a world surrounded by cameras, tight schedules, and the pressure to be perfect, little wounds never heal. They are only temporarily closed, waiting for the worst moment to reopen. And that night, the night when everything collapsed, there was no big explosion. No slaps, no screams break the air. Just one cold whisper from Jimin made Jungkook's world collapse in an instant. "You know why I can't trust you anymore, right?" It was spoken as the stage lights had just gone out, and the crew began dismantling the set. No one heard it, except Jungkook himself. But Jimin's expression, mysterious, wounded, cold, created a rumble that was more intense than a stadium scream. And from that moment on, everything began to change. Jungkook stopped sending voice notes to group chats. Jimin stopped following Jungkook's spam account on social media. Even as the staff tried to bring them together for a photo shoot, reason after reason came out of Jimin's mouth. Back pain, vocal exercises, solo schedule. Whatever, the origin does not have to be in the same room with him. However, what hurts the most is what Jimin accidentally said during a private live stream with Taehyung. In the now-deleted video, Jimin is seen speaking very quietly, as if forgetting that his mic is still on. "I can't bear to keep pretending. He made me doubt if he ever really knew me." That sentence brought the ARMY to collapse. Comments flooded replays of the video. Thousands of questions appear in a matter of hours. What exactly did Jungkook do? What did he say? Why would Jimin, who was known to be the most patient and empathetic, be able to say such words? Then came a wilder and darker issue. Some fan-side accounts known as shadow stalkers, who follow the members' activities even when they are not appearing in public, uploaded a series of photos showing Jimin exiting a private meeting room in HYBE with red eyes and a jacket covering his face. On the same day, Jungkook is seen sitting alone on the rooftop of the same building, looking blankly at the night sky. Someone commented, "If you think this is about fan gossip, you're wrong. It's about betrayal." And for the first time, the rumor came out explicitly that Jungkook accidentally leaked personal information about Jimin's past while joking with one of the senior trainees who now works as a backup dancer for BTS. The leak involves someone who used to be emotionally close to Jimin, someone who, until recently, had never appeared in their public narrative. According to speculation, Jimin had experienced severe mental stress because of the relationship, and only a few members knew. But Jungkook, perhaps in a bad emotional state, mentioned the man's name in a training session, with others present, with a laugh that, though without malicious intent, felt like a stab to Jimin. After that, their relationship never recovered. Even more painful is that Jimin once entrusted the story only to Jungkook, not Taehyung, not an RM, just him. Because in the silence of a hotel room years ago, Jimin once said tearfully, "You're the last person I'm going to let touch this wound." And now, the wound is not just touched. It was open,